The words hit him like a quiet explosion, the kind that didn't make noise but left everything inside rearranged and burning. He stood frozen in his boss's office, the late afternoon lights spilling through the tall glass windows, dust floating in the air like time itself had slowed. He was a single father who had learned how to survive disappointment, exhaustion, and loneliness, but nothing in his carefully guarded life had prepared him for this moment. Not after one night. Not after everything he had already lost. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that life can surprise us even when we think we've seen it all, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the heart. Ethan Miller had built his life around responsibility. After his wife passed away 3 years earlier, the world did not stop to give him time to grieve. Bills still came. His 6-year-old daughter still needed breakfast every morning, help with homework, and a father who could smile even when his chest felt heavy. Ethan worked long hours at a mid-sized architecture firm, never late, never careless, never asking for more than he was given. His boss, Clare had always been professional, distant but fair, a woman known for her sharp mind and even sharper standards. She was admired, respected, and entirely out of reach, or so Ethan believed. The night that changed everything was never meant to exist. It happened after a company event, one of those evenings filled with polite laughter, speeches about teamwork, and glasses of wine meant to soften the edges of long work weeks. Ethan rarely stayed late, always rushing home to his daughter, but that night she was with her grandmother, and for the first time in months, he allowed himself to linger. The conversations grew warmer, the smiles more human, and the loneliness both of them carried. Quietly found a moment to breathe. It was not reckless or wild, but it was real, heavy with emotion neither of them had planned to acknowledge. The morning after, reality returned quickly. They went back to their roles, to silence, to professionalism. Ethan told himself it was a mistake that would fade into memory, something that would never be spoken of again. He buried it the way he buried everything else that hurt. Work, parenting, sleep, repeat. Weeks passed, then months, and life seemed determined to prove that nothing had changed, until that afternoon. Claire's request for a private meeting felt routine at first. Ethan walked into her office expecting feedback on a project or another late deadline. Instead, he noticed the tension in her posture, the way her hands trembled slightly against the desk. When she finally told him, her voice low and unsteady, the room felt smaller, the air thicker. The weight of her words pressed down on him, bringing fear, disbelief, and guilt all at once. He was a man who already felt stretched thin by life, and suddenly, the future he had carefully balanced threatened to tip completely. Ethan didn't know what scared him more, the thought of starting over or the fear of failing again. He thought of his daughter, of bedtime stories and scraped knees, of promises he had made to always be there. He thought of the long nights spent wondering if he was enough as a father, as a man. And now, this unexpected reality demanded something from him that he wasn't sure he could give. Clare, for her part, was unraveling in ways no one at work could see. She had built her reputation on control and discipline, never allowing personal feelings to interfere with her authority. But behind closed doors, she was terrified, afraid of judgment, afraid of losing everything she had worked for, afraid that this moment would reduce her to whispers in hallways and knowing looks during meetings. She did not ask Ethan for anything that day. She only told him the truth, leaving him alone with a decision that felt impossibly large. The days that followed were some of the hardest of Ethan's life. He went through the motions, preparing lunches, checking homework, staring at blueprints that blurred before his eyes. Sleep came in fragments. Doubt followed him everywhere. He questioned whether stepping forward would destroy both their lives, whether staying silent would haunt him forever. He had already lived with regret once, after losing his wife and wishing he had said more, done more, loved louder. He promised himself he would not repeat that mistake. What surprised him most was how slowly fear began to give way to clarity. One night, while watching his daughter sleep, her small hand curled around her stuffed bear, Ethan realized that love was never about perfect timing. His life had never followed a plan, yet somehow he was still standing, still showing up, still loving with everything he had, and maybe that was enough. He asked for another meeting, not as an employee this time, but as a man willing to take responsibility. He did not demand answers or make promises he couldn't keep. He simply chose honesty. The tension between them shifted, not disappearing, but transforming into something steadier, something rooted in mutual respect rather than fear. They agreed to face the future carefully, openly, without pretending this was easy. Work became complicated, but not unbearable. Boundaries were drawn. Rumors were avoided through transparency and professionalism. Claire stepped back from direct supervision. Ethan focused on his role, earning respect not through proximity but through consistency. Slowly, the chaos settled into something manageable, something real. Months passed and change crept in quietly. Claire softened in ways that surprised everyone, learning to let go of perfection. Ethan learned that his heart was capable of expanding, not dividing. His daughter noticed the shifts before anyone else, sensing warmth, stability, and a new kind of hope in her father's smile. Life did not become perfect. There were difficult conversations, hard days, moments of fear that returned without warning. But there was also growth, healing, a future that no longer felt like something to survive, but something to build. If this story is touching something deep inside you, if it reminds you that even broken paths can lead somewhere beautiful, please take a moment near the end to like this video, share it, and let us know you were here. And before the final moments fade, we have one special request. Comment below and tell us this. Do you believe that unexpected beginnings can become the strongest kind of love? In the end, Ethan understood something that took him years to learn. Life doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply offers moments that define who you choose to be. And sometimes, the most terrifying surprises carry the quiet promise of redemption, family, and a love that grows not despite hardship, but because of it.